Shit.
Hello, everyone. I'm Allison,
Jesus.
and welcome to my weekly Meltdowns coverage of Survivor Season 40, Winners at War. I apologize. I sound like a chain-smoking truck driver this evening. I don't feel very well, but I'm here. I'm doing a lot better than some people.
Yes, that is very true. Hello, Allison. Of course, as always, we are for those listening to the podcast, Deb is spraying her Lysol up to Allison's window, so hopefully it travels across the states over to her. Of course, with us, we have Deb. How are you doing, Deb?
I'm good.
Oh my god.
And Beth, how are you doing?
I'm good. I am I have a voice. I don't know.
Good. Oh my goodness.
I can't really see the chat very well.
That's fine. I'll be the chat police tonight.
All right.
We'll start off by saying hey to everybody in the chat. Of course, we have Matt, Kevin, Jared.
Did you say you hate everybody in the chat or just hey everybody in the chat?
No, hey to everybody in the chat.
Oh, okay.
No.
Yes,
Joseph, Cipriano, John. We have a bunch of people. Thomas the Talker, Valencia. Hey, family. Jared. So let's start it off. Joseph said, I think it's a little bit of a boring episode. And I kind of agree with that. We have a lot to talk about still, but I feel like this is the calm before the merge storm. So I'm not too worried. It was a pretty straightforward tribal. I mean, there can only be so much layers of gameplay when there's only 4 people on a tribe.
Exactly. Can we talk about Sandra first? Can I weigh in on that?
Yes, go ahead.
So, of course, Sandra decides that there's nothing left for her and she's going to, raise the flag.
Yes.
And I don't blame her.
Yes.
She's on edge of extinction with a whole bunch of beasts. And she just spent a month there. And, and then she had to come back a week later. And now she's sent edge of extinction with competition beast, as we see, she's got Boston Rob there, who found those 3 fire tokens. Like, he could have done that in his sleep.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's like, she's like, do I want to starve? Knowing that I have 0 shot at getting back with all these beasts.
Yeah.
Or do I want to go, have a nice little vacation?
Yeah.
What does she have to prove?
She has nothing to prove. She's won twice. She is the queen.
I kind of figured this would happen when earlier in the season we got like a segment for her saying like, this is it. Like I'm done after the season. I'm retired. And I do want to point out, since Allison is wearing her poop crown, remember we made a little wager last week that if Sandra raises the flag, Allison has to wear her I don't even know what to call that. Her poop
tiara
thing. Tiara. Yeah.
Poop tiara.
I call them the piles of shit on my head.
And I also think there's probably like a layer of humiliation there for her game.
Yeah, totally.
And I definitely think that she didn't want to discuss it and just wanted to go. And
well, Rob rang her like a new one as soon as she got there. He was like, "You should have never given her the idol."
Exactly.
And
she's trying to do something different.
Right, and Sandra's never been blindsided before. You have to think in Game Changers, like the writing was on the wall. Like she knew that it was her turn to go.
Totally.
So it's a new thing, and my only complaint is like I wish she would have at least like slept on it, experienced like the first like trying to find the fire tokens, like first like twist advantage thing, just out of respect for the players that have been there that long, and just the respect to her legacy. Like. She likes to not argue with the result that like she's the only 2-time winner in Survivor history. But after this, like there will be another 2-time winner.
But by default, because they're all winners.
Right. That's true. However, I would have liked to seen her stick it out a little bit more and prove that like it's like her wins weren't just coincidence. Like she's like a hell of a player, and I don't know. I just have a lot more respect for.
Does she have anything else to prove though?
I can see why you would want Sandra to sleep on it and that kind of thing, but I don't think it would have changed her mind. And like,
No.
why waste her time? She would be doing it for the camera, and she literally just did a whole season for the camera with season 39. I think that this was a really great way for her to really take control of the last scraps of things that she could take control of in that game, which is to say, I'm going out now and I'm not going to put myself through any more torture. And she didn't do it in any lack of respect, in my opinion, for the people who were there. She was very amicable. She said goodbye. She said good luck. And she peaced out. And I actually think that's better than almost toying with the people who were on the island and saying like, hey, I'm just going to sleep on it, even though I'm thinking about, like, I actually think that's more torturous, especially when you get those confessionals from Ethan, who's, got legitimate concerns for the state of his being out there. And
I'm worried about him.
I'm worried about him too. And it's one of those things that, like, I almost feel like having her stick around when she already knew she was going to leave, that's a little bit more salt in the wound to the people who are there. Like, it's probably better for those people to be like, oh, she got voted out and she left immediately. There's no time to really get used to having her on the island.
Sure.
If that makes sense.
Isabel brings up, I don't know if I'm saying your name right, I'm sorry. Isabel brings up a great point in the chat. She says, or he, I don't know if it's he or she. I don't think it's easy to make that decision in front of millions of viewers either. She was very honest. Yeah, I'll give it that.
Definitely.
I just I don't know. I felt the same way when Wendy and What's His Nuts quit.
No, I didn't. No, I don't.
You don't?
No, because they had a shot. They had a shot.
You think that Sandra had no shot?
She had no shot.
Okay.
She's getting up there in her age. She's not in great physical health. You know what I mean? She's not, but you look at some of the people that are on there on the Edge of Extinction, they're beasts.
Yeah,
she
right.
Zero shot.
Yeah, I will say I
between her and Natalie.
I will say I liked that segment that Ethan and Parvati had.
That was really great. It was a good humanizing moment.
Beautiful, yeah, very. And it just really just goes to show like how, and this definitely relates to our lives and our situation right now. Just how important like practicing mindfulness can be, and the benefits of just not letting yourself go there.
Right.
To really keep yourself positive, keep yourself focused, keep yourself literally in the game, and don't raise the flag, in life or Edge of Extinction when you're feeling down. And Ethan said like, I have nothing but time to think about this. So I really liked that reconnection between Parvati and Ethan. It was very honest. It was very genuine, like you said, Beth. And then we go. Let's just keep talking about Edge of Extinction since we're kind of bouncing back and forth between those two segments. So of course, like it becomes like a fire token run for the hills. So everybody gets a scroll. There's 4 fire tokens scattered. I really liked how the editors played with us here. That Tyson found the only fire token, and then Rob's like, actually, I found all 3 of them.
And that is just like
Allison has a thought.
Where were the 3 fire tokens when they were stripping? Okay, I don't have my LOS thing over here. Oh wait, hold on a second.
I'm going to tell you.
Where exactly did Rob have the 3?
He was like, I put them in my pocket. I'm like, we know which pocket you're talking about.
They were between his booty cheeks.
Yeah. Amber, I'm going to need you to split my ass open. Put your hand up.
Amber.
I have a delivery for you, Amber.
Put them in my booty hole.
Amber, spit on it.
Oh, God. All right.
And then Sandra from the boat said, "Do whatever it takes to get in there."
Spit on it.
Oh my gosh. So we see Tyson get another fire token. He didn't immediately spend it on peanut butter, which is a nice change. But it's interesting to see like what Rob might be able to do with these 3 fire tokens. Yeah, that's a lot. Natalie has 4, correct?
Yes, she has
Yeah.
4.
So she's still Michael Bloomberg on the on Edge of Extinction, but Rob's catching up to her pretty quickly. And I like that he didn't, like Tyson was kind of caught finding that 1 fire token, and Rob played this perfectly. He was like, "Where'd you find it? Like, what does it look like? Can we see it?" And Tyson shows it to everybody. And Rob in return does not say, "Oh, here's the others." Like he doesn't return that favor and give that information.
Well, no, you shouldn't. That's stupid to give that information.
Yeah.
I think what was interesting about it, though, is that Tyson was so secretive last week when he got his fire token. And I'm wondering if it's just adding in his mind a level of fun to be like, now they won't suspect that I got the 1 token last week and I bought peanut butter. Like they didn't show that in the editing, but I can definitely see that as being a part of like his mindset.
Yeah.
Like he's the type of person that just wants to like have fun in his own way out there. And I could see that being a part of his like way of having fun.
Yeah. So I think we can move on from Edge of Extinction. So let's talk about just the.
Actually, before we do, there were a couple of people in the chat. I think Kevin and both Thomas have been talking a little bit about Ethan and how Ethan has a pretty interesting storyline right now. Do we think that Ethan might make it back into the game?
It would be awesome if he did.
I would love that.
Because I just listening to him talk about how, I fought cancer and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And then he's sitting there thinking about, my immune system and how he's worried that cancer could be coming back because of this. It really got to me. It really did.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but then Matt's like, just it's proving why voting him out was the right decision, because he is so humanizing.
Absolutely.
Like all of us
Right,
are like
exactly.
our hearts are like ripping open. Like imagine that at Final Tribal
At the end. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's why you got to go. And you got to stay out.
Denise Stapley and uses 2 idols. Everybody loves a good sob story at Final Tribal.
But I also think it's interesting that we haven't heard from Natalie in a few weeks at all, ever since she's like, so it's just, I don't know. I mean, the more people who have gotten on the island, I understand that they've been spending more time on the new people. I think the camera will always put Rob in the forefront. I don't think that necessarily means anything. Like if Rob's going to be back or not.
It's the Rob show.
It's always going to be the Rob show. So I'm interested. Like, I don't know. I can't wait to see what the results are from Edge of Extinction, not only just next week, but in terms of the entirety of the season, because then we can get an idea of like, what were the editors going for? Were they going for inspiration? Were they going for, these are some of your favorite people that we know may never come back. Like we just want to give them some screen time. So it doesn't play by the same rules. And so I'm interested to see what happens.
Well, I think it's because, I still think that Tyson is the first returnee. And I say this because of the way it was edited this week. Like they didn't make Tyson out to be a fool, where he like found the last token later and Rob like one-upped him. Ha ha ha. Like they showed him like what?
Because he's awesome.
That's what he said.
Oh, Tyson. I thought you meant Rob. But no, it didn't make him look like a fool. It still made him like have this moment of like, I beat Rob to the punch and I found a fire token. And so yeah, I think Tyson's still like very much so maybe one of the people coming back.
I agree with that.
Yeah. So Deb, let's talk about your buddy Wendell because we got some comments in the chat last week.
Let me tell you something. Now we all know that Wendell is completely off his axis in this game with the hand he's been dealt. He's pretty pissed off that Michelle's there, and he's kind of resentful for that. And it's definitely thrown off his game. But he's obviously pissed off, and that is somebody, and he's, being kind of little arrogant and argumentative. That is someone that you don't vote out. That is a meat shield.
I agree.
You want to keep in front of you. He's being a troublemaker. Do not let him go.
Honestly, I 100%
Yeah.
agree. I do think that from the rest, now I don't want to admit this because I love Yule and I really wish that Yule had stuck around, but I do think from a Michelle and Nick perspective, it makes a lot of sense to keep Wendell. Michelle has a lot of power over Wendell right now. And like she's really using a lot of different emotional and mental manipulation. I don't think that
Good on her, though.
which is fantastic. She should be. And I think that she will have a wonderful moment coming up in the next couple of weeks. It provides a really great shield, like you said, but it also sit back and say like, all right, well, we know that we have a little bit more of a chance of having some control and power if we go with Wendell than if we do with Yule.
Absolutely.
And
It was
understanding
too difficult.
right. And I think that Nick was probably able to bring in the perspective of, well, Yule's also very close with Sophie, who is not someone who's easy to also manipulate as well. So getting rid of somebody like that gives them a little bit more power.
I want to circle back a little bit because I feel like we're giving Wendell way too much credit here. Yes, he's a meat shield because he's like he's being a little aggressive and like he's cashing in this relationship with Michelle. This is very much so post results like thinking. He like a good player in Survivor is one that puts in that work before the challenge happens, before your name is on the chopping block. And what was he doing before the challenge happened? He was treating her so terribly, even after she gave him that fire token from Parvati as like an olive branch. You know, he says, you know, like he's very patronizing her. He says like, thank you for schooling me on how to talk in tribal. Like what a dick. Like even in the challenge, he's saying like, come on girl, like yelling at her for tripping when it's really his fault.
Yeah,
his fault. And his own teammates from day one are like, I'm sick of this attitude. I'm so tired of the cockiness. He's like talking back to Jeff Probst, not only at the challenge, but at tribal council. It's just all around like a piss poor attitude. And a good Survivor player is someone that adapts no matter the situation. And I feel like I'm just watching a child like throw a tantrum instead.
I do think that this last vote, though, I think it's going to mellow him out.
I think that, can y'all hear me? Am I
Yeah, we can hear you,
enough,
girl.
Tyler?
A little louder would be good, but go ahead.
Wendell is okay. We got a lot of shit last week about Wendell, and I just want to tell everyone to calm down. It's a show. We're a show. I mean, come on. This guy is treating his ex or whatever you want to call it like absolute crap, except when it matters.
Wendell
matters during tribal council. Now, I've dated guys that were horrible like that to me, but when they wanted something, they were really nice to me. So
and that's what Wendell did after the challenge.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And he's going to go back to doing what he's doing. Okay.
Yeah. And I think that what's nice, and like, I got the sense, maybe I'm wrong, but I got the sense that Michelle knows that. And that's why she's using that to her advantage, which is why I do think that we need to give her credit. I don't think that she's going to him and not understand what he's doing. Like it was made pretty clear to me through the confessionals and through her conversation with Nick, and that Nick's even on the same boat, which is, you know what? We know that he's being duplicitous and being shady and being an asshole, but we can use
better to work
that
with the
to our
devil you
advantage.
know.
Exactly. It's better to have somebody like I'm not sitting here praising Wendell at all. I think that he's playing piss poor gameplay. And I also think that he is honestly, whether it's because he's shaken up or not, I honestly think that when you're getting shaken up, that shows your true colors. And I think that unfortunately, this is a shade of true color that's coming out for him. And I think that this should be a humbling experience at the end of the day for him to look back on and watch. But this is a really great opportunity for Nick and Michelle to utilize that, which they did. Yule is a huge threat in this game. As a social threat, he is a mental threat. And to get him out before the merge, he's also a physical threat. He is a triple threat. To get him out before the merge, when you've seen that Wendell doesn't always have his shit together, that is a great move to do. So to pretend like that's not a good move, I think is not quite giving them the credit that they deserve for this. Not necessarily not Wendell, Michelle and Nick.
Look,
exactly.
If you're against Yule, you're gonna lose.
Sorry
Yeah.
about it.
No,
It's gonna
I totally agree. And I think that we're using the wrong terminology with Wendell moving forward. I definitely see him more as not a meat shield, but a goat. Somebody that we're bringing to the end because he has been sloppy. He has managed his, even his own alliance that he's been with from day one is ready to turn on him, and that's what happened here. Yes, the votes worked out in his favor, but it's not any credit to any game that Wendell played. It was more so Nick and Michelle identifying and weighing out the options in a very strategic. Props to Michelle. All three of those guys wanted her vote so much. She really made herself available to any one of these three guys to pick up as a number. She's really taking like Sandra, as long as it's not me mentality, and putting it into full force this season. It's great.
And she's also using some of Parvati's tools of being like emotionally available to these guys too.
Yeah.
I don't mean that in a flirtatious way. I mean that literally in a like using the fact that she can get to know people really well and make them feel trusted and secure in her relationship. She does a really good job of that.
Yeah.
And I think she also feels as if she has something to prove. She knows she does. And she wants to make sure that she's making the moves to prove that I did this.
Yeah, but do you think that this would have come up if Yule hadn't? I'm sorry.
If you hadn't tried to get those fire tokens from Wendell.
No, it may not have.
I don't think so.
I think it
that
would have.
was. You think?
I think so, because I think that Yule took the time to speak with Wendell, and the fact that he was open with Wendell even before thinking about fire tokens and such after that tribal council where they got rid of Parvati, that's what planted the seed in Wendell was, oh, Yule wasn't happy with this. He's going to target me. I'm happy that we spoke about it, but I'm happy that we spoke about it because I know where his head's at. I think that put the seed of doubt in Wendell, and I absolutely think that.
Right. But I think that it flipped Nick immediately. It turned Nick off immediately when he started talking about the fire tokens.
No, yeah, I can see that too. Yeah, I agree with that.
And for the record, we watch this show. Okay? We watch the show. And if one more motherfucker says, if you guys didn't watch the show, I'm going to come through this microphone.
Allison is...
What the hell you think we're doing before the show? What the hell you think we're doing? We're scratching our asses?
I think this is just an instance of Yule being a little too cute with the plan. I think it got just a little too complicated, and it kind of reminds me of when Michaela took, I think it was Adam, out to the beach in Millennials versus Gen X, and she did like the numbers in the sand, and it raised a red flag to Adam, thinking that like this girl's a gamer, like it's gonna be her way, like, and she's gonna figure out a way to get there, and I can't deal with that the strategic stronghold of a player like that. And I think that is, Yule already has this big reputation of being such a genius mind. And even just the vocabulary he was using at Tribal Council, I feel like I took like a level 300 economics college course in that tribal. I think if I were Yule, just, wash your hands of that fire token, consider that just a tiny L. I would rather not have a fire token than to really expose myself as an even stronger. I know Matt's going to come for me for saying all this about Yule, but it's true. I mean, like
it was aggressively strategic. And
that's when the wheels started turning for everybody.
That.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
I also think that something
that was Jay, not Adam. Sorry.
I think something that was put in the chat, and I think it was Matt who said it, was, but who's going to want to work with this three when they merge next week? And I think that the answer to that is, I don't think that Michelle and Nick really have loyalty to Wendell. I think that what they wanted was to make sure that they had someone that could be easily targeted as an early boot post-merge, so that they can go to other people. Like Nick can get back with Sophie and hopefully bring Michelle in there. Michelle might get back together with Jeremy and Denise or with Ben or whoever. And they've got people in those other tribes that they can go back to and be like,
Because
we
they were
need
good
to get
socially.
bundled. Correct.
Yeah.
So they were good social players. I don't see them being like, come join our threesome. I see them as being like, okay, here's some information that you all need to know, blah, 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 blah. And if next week's preview shows anything, it sounds like there's a lot of people who have those plans putting together. So
Yeah, definitely. Another note I had was Adam's very lucky that they won the challenge today. I really think he would have been gone. I really
yeah,
do.
and that was a really good plan that they made to slow and steady.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, considering like we saw the Green Tribe dynamics a little bit, and Sophie's identifying like there's so much tension, and then like Adam and Ben are like bickering about like tone, and it was just so childish. And I really didn't like how Ben was like
it's
mocking
just
him.
Ben. Yeah, Ben was just being
Ben's an
so
asshole.
friggin' immature.
Yeah.
He's kind of an asshole.
And I just, I really, after tonight, I don't think Adam's the winner. I don't think that there's any chance. You know, we get this long segment of him being like, I think Sarah has the idol, and I've never been so sure about something in my Survivor career, looking straight into the camera at that. And he was wrong. And all of us are at home being like, no, you're wrong about this, Adam. And Sarah's like, you can look through my bag. I don't give a shit. Like, good for Sophie for being like, listen, let's shut this down. Like, it's just causing like unnecessary tension. Let's just move on from this.
Yeah,
That would make
also
me
agree with
respect
that.
her.
Who does Adam have going into the merge?
Denise,
Like,
maybe to pick up
I
again.
don't even know if he has Denise.
Well, I thought it was interesting how Denise, like, she really solidified that 3 with Kim and Jeremy. And I really thought, I'm here for it too. And I really thought Denise was going to say, and once we get to merge, we can pick up Adam too. But she didn't say that, which is very interesting.
It's an option though, because it's a number.
It is certainly an option.
Well, and that's the thing. I think that Denise has adapted a lot from Kim's gameplay this time around, which is about options. And I think that
we heard Kim Spradlin say options in the confessional tonight.
We did. I was just gonna say that. Yes. So I think that Kim went into a swap with nobody and came out with numbers.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see if Adam can survive the first elimination post merge. I see him picking up pace. He did the same thing in Millennials versus Gen X because he kept going back and forth to different alliances. He turned on a lot of people. I can see him maneuvering his way because he's not going to be a threat in immunity challenges. He's not going to be a threat because he doesn't have a lot of allies. And I think people are going to start looking at trying to draw some kind of line in the sand. The line might change every week, but they're going to try to figure out, this group is not going to go, who's the easiest vote, and let's just go for it.
Right.
That has only happened, I think, one time this entire, and I'm thinking Parvati was the easy vote. Like, I don't think they've had an easy vote this entire season. So I see them making a pretty drastic first move. And that's why I think Nick and Michelle were aiming to try to bring a target with them to go for that.
Yeah. So I really like that they solidified this 3. And I also really liked how we hear from Tony first. You know, he says, I'm so glad Denise took out Sandra from this game and did this dirty work for me that I eventually would have had to do. I thought that was really smart. However, he says after that, Denise is the big target now. In our tribe.
In front of her.
Yeah, in front of her.
Yeah, he's like playing up her move and, saying what a big target she is.
It's way too
target
obvious
on himself.
Yeah,
exactly. It's way too obvious. Like, it's way too like Survivor 101 to just like in front of everybody be like, oh, Denise, what a great move. Wow. Looks like you're really a good player in this game.
But let's remember that Tony's not exactly the like go-to textbook on how to play Survivor.
His win is definitely a unicorn. But I just love the confessional from Jeremy after where he's like, Tony thinks that Denise is the next biggest target. That's bullshit. Like, it's still you, Tony. Like, you're still...
Exactly. We see what you're doing.
Right, exactly. Oh my goodness. My friend Taylor's in the chat. Hi, Taylor. So let's see. Once again, we hear from Michelle that she brings up Ko-Rong and how she has something to prove. She said she's had this weight on her shoulder for years now about like, am I a good player? It makes me worried that like eventually she's going to overthink and overplay to try to like really push this narrative. So I need her to like now that she's getting to merge, she just needs to like take a step back and do exactly what she did this week, like be available to everybody.
Being quietly strategic.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's what she's been doing.
Yeah. I mean, especially when there's so many cooks in the kitchen coming into this merge.
They look so scattered.
Yeah.
Next week's episode, like
really
there's
do.
going to be like 5 people they're voting for.
Yeah. It's wild.
So that's something I was thinking about a lot is with this episode, I kind of brought it up with Edge of Extinction in terms of like, what are the editors trying to tell us? What are the story arcs we're trying to put together, right? And that's what we always think every season. But I do think that this season, because we're dealing with returning winners that are beloved for so many different parts of the fan base, some are cult winners that some people really, really like. Some people are just really popular. Some people are not as memorable or whatever. Everybody has some kind of story arc, and it's been interesting to see we have certain storytellers. And I think in a normal season, you would think, well, that person's definitely going to win. And I think that they've shown that people could be making huge moves and still get not that big of an edit. Denise is one of them. Denise does not get a huge edit. That could be a really great thing. She didn't get a huge edit when she won Philippines. And maybe that's just because who she is as a player, right? In the same way that Adam provides just a very cerebral part, a fanboy part to the game. So that's maybe why we hear from him so often. Sophie provides these great analytical things that are just gold nuggets to put into an episode. And I think that for us to sit back, and maybe I'm completely foolish to think this, but I've really started to think like, I don't know if we can trust the Edgic stuff this year for this season. I don't think we can trust let's put together who we think is going to win this and win that. Because I think from what I've seen, the editors are playing tricks on us.
It's funny you mentioned some of these names, Beth, because Edgic has gotten it wrong a few times with like predicting the winner based on edit. And some of the winners that they did not predict correctly are Michelle, are Adam, and Denise. So it's really interesting that you say
those under the radar social players, they don't do well because they're also not huge personalities. They're not the ones who are telling the story. Like, did Edgic predict Chris Underwood was going to win?
No.
Right. Because everyone was like, it's the Rick Devon show. Now, granted, that's a little different, right? But if we were to, since it's a comparable season, if Natalie Anderson all of a sudden comes back and wins, Chris had like no time on Edge of Extinction for it was just like, look at Chris's really tight underwear when he comes out of the water. Like that's the kind of stuff that we got on Edge of Extinction. It had nothing to do with him as a
Chris.
You know, like
No
I'm just
issues
interested.
with that thing swinging around coming out of the water. Okay.
I want to also talk about Sarah and Sophie because I feel like they had another really, really great week. What a great! You're right. Like they are absolutely killing it. They're really looking out for each other and just running circles around these two guys in terms of gameplay, and I love it. It's great.
Yeah.
As soon as I saw Sophie go to do that puzzle for the Green Tribe, I was like, oh, they've got this in the bag. It's fine.
Yeah.
Good job to Sarah and Sophie again this week. Before we talk about who we think is going to go at the merge next week, let's bring up our drafts and look at that. So Kim lost Yule, so she's
Rip Kim.
I know. I don't think Kim's pulling this one out. Sorry to say.
As much as I don't want to have this point of view going into like the second half of the game of like who are winners going to choose to be the ultimate winner, I just don't see it being Nick. I love Nick, but I just don't see him. I hope he pulls something out and hope he proves me wrong. But
yeah, I agree with that. And then here is me and Beth's draft. We are neck and neck here, which is very exciting.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Okay. So I do want to say for the record, last week we had some miscalculations of points because in Tyler's haste to not award Ben any points for winning immunity last week, I actually was ahead of him by 1 point.
Me not want to give Ben credit? Crazy.
But this, we fixed it. I pinned it on my Twitter, so make sure that you follow up for that.
Yes, I will send that to you after.
Yeah, please. And then I think for the first time, Tyler takes the lead. It is a slight lead, but I was destined to have a horrible, horrible, horrible week, given that all four of my remaining people were the entire Sele tribe.
Yeah.
So that sucked for me.
Yeah. Well, what put me over the edge, no pun intended, edge of extinction, is the 2 fire tokens. And let's talk about this. So Yul gives the fire tokens. He had 2. He gives 1 to Sarah and 1 to Sophie. So now we know that you can split tender in this survivor economics. So that's good to know. But just another point in Sophie and Sarah's favor. And
what does Sophie have now in fire tokens?
She has 2 fire tokens, right?
She has 2, but she's also sitting on the idol. And Sarah still has the vote steal. So they're going into merge looking pretty good.
They're looking pretty good. And I also know that if they're coming into a merge, they're going to get back, or Sarah's going to get back together with Tony. Who knows how long that will last? I have a feeling that she will flip on Tony for that cops or us thing as a revenge. I kind of hope that's what happens, just because that's an interesting story plot.
I think cops are in it for the long haul. I really do.
I don't know, because here's what I think is going to happen. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm waiting. I've been waiting for Denise and Sarah to get together because they are from the same exact town in Iowa, and I want to see if they get together, because if they get together, all of a sudden that brings in Kim, who was also original to Cal with Sophie and Sarah, and she did share the idol with Sophie. So there's some connection. It's not super strong, but it could be better now. And Jeremy, who brings in that kind of meat shield that they would be looking for, who also might bring in Michelle, who also might be, I mean, there's so many little connections here. Sarah's another person that likes options. She likes lawyers. Oh, hey, Finley.
Hey, Finley, what's up, dude? Really? Tell us about it.
Just try to get in the chair.
He had a lot to say about what I was saying.
Fucking
But no, I do think that there's an avenue where Sarah goes, it's in my best interest to get rid of Tony, and I'm going to do it.
I mean, Tony,
she's not afraid to cut allies.
So Beth, if you're talking about like a possible easy vote coming up, I think Tony is probably.
I think he's the next one to go.
The one that everybody could get on board with.
Yeah. I would vote him out next. That would be
absolutely
the person that I would target.
Yeah. I think the only pushback would be Sarah from that. But, you know, if I'm Sarah and I'm weighing my options between like moving forward with Sophie or moving forward with Tony.
Tony's a
Sophie.
disaster.
Do you think that she pulls the steal a vote in order to save Tony?
Oh, God. I mean, she shouldn't. Because we saw in Cagayan, I mean, what was his name? Not LJ, but the other one. Or was it LJ? Gave Tony the idol, and Tony voted him out like the next episode. So, there's no loyalty there with Tony. He checks all of that at the door. He's a crazy lunatic.
But I think that Sarah knows that. That's why I'm saying I don't think Sarah would have too much pushback if she sees that that's the will of the tribe. Then she's going to try to find avenues to make sure that it appears that she's trying to save Tony while also like spearheading that Tony's going, because she does that, or that's what she did in Game Changers. She looked at what the temperature of the tribe was, and sometimes she would go, I don't like that, I'm going to spearhead something else, and she did. And sometimes she said, oh, this is what the tribe's going to do, I'm going to make it look like my move, but also make the person feel good on the way out.
Right.
Taylor, get that fire token, girl.
Taylor asked us, is there a limit to when Sarah can use her steal a vote? I think it's final 6. That's usually what it is for the vote steal. So that's what I would guess. And Jeremy also has his advantage where he can dip out of tribal. I think this, depending on like where it's going, like you just never know. Like the merge is so crazy. Like I wouldn't be afraid to just burn this and use this here, and really just wash your hands of like any craziness that goes down.
I think if you hear any inkling that your name was even brought up,
use it.
But I think you wait until,
or if no one's talking to you,
right? I think that you sit throughout the entirety of the tribal council and then leave right before the vote, so that way you can hear everything that people are talking about. Peace out.
Finley has a lot to say.
If you find yourself that no one wants to really have a conversation with you, y'all need a dip.
What is this cat doing?
He has to. What's up, Finley? You bastard.
Some other easy targets, I think. Of course, we saw in the preview that Adam and Ben are still bickering. I really think I predicted that Adam would go this week. I could see Adam being the merge boot as well.
Yeah.
Not. I really like him.
I think if
I
Adam
really like him.
yeah,
Why do you really like him, Allison?
He's sweet.
I love Adam.
He's rootable and he's a good narrator, but nobody can argue the fact that like he's been a little sloppy this season. He's
been aggressive. I don't know if it's
Yeah.
been sloppy. I think that he's taken big moves, tried to take big moves, and
Tried to change his game up, and it's not working for him.
And you know what? Good for him for doing that.
He tried. He tried to change.
Television,
Yeah.
and it doesn't it's not like you have to return the money you won last time. Like if you don't win, you just don't win this time. So why not try to go in there and change it up, especially if you aren't
wrong with changing up how you play your game.
correct.
Yeah, I mean, you have to at least try. I mean, because if you play the same game, then you're predictable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's lock in. Who is our official guess? I'll start first since I went last week. I'm gonna stick with what I just said. I think it's Adam that goes. Beth, what do you think?
Oh, Beth, go.
Wait, do you know who you're gonna say, Deb?
Yeah, Tony.
Okay, go for it.
Tony.
Allison, who are you gonna say?
Who did I say last week?
I don't know.
Figures.
Who did
It's
you
been
say?
a week. How are we supposed to remember?
Oh, I can't remember anything. Who
Let
do
me
I
bring
think?
up the here, if this helps you.
I think it's gonna be Wendell.
Wendell? Okay, good guess. And Beth, who do you think?
I think Wendell. I was trying to choose between Wendell and Adam based off of what we've seen, and I do think that I think in a move in order to get more numbers, both Nick and Michelle will sacrifice him. I think that's the intention anyway.
Yeah, and I guess we're not getting the Edge of Extinction returning next week, which I thought would happen, but I feel like they would have shown that in the
I
preview.
think that's what it was. I think that where they said drop the buffs, I think that was the Edge of Extinction, them coming back, and they all get to watch as they come back because they're down to 11. So this would bring them back up to 12, and then they would vote out from there.
Yeah.
Count how many? Did you count how many like little thingies they had sitting out there for the challenge?
I
thought
didn't
there were
see.
8. There weren't enough for everybody. That's why I think it was
what I
8
thought.
because if there's 8, then that's everybody who's on Edge, and if there's 11, then that's everybody who's in the game.
That's what I thought, yeah.
Okay. All right.
So we'll
Well-
go back and look at that.
Yeah. So we'll see. Do we also know if is it an hour and a half next week or is it just an hour?
I think it's just 1 hour.
I wish it was an hour and a half.
More time. They really need to give us more time. We
I
need
know.
a bigger distraction right
Yeah.
now.
Can we talk about one thing they didn't do in this episode, which I'm upset by?
Yeah.
They did not say Yara taking a look at both Sele and DeCall for the first time. Parvati and Sandra both voted out. We don't get to see Yara's reaction to Parvati and Sandra being voted out.
What if they were all just like, yeah, that makes sense.
That makes
Yeah,
sense.
it's
They're old school.
I
they're
do the same shit.
We had to sit there and have them do this whole, biggest reaction of all time for Rob. You're not going to have a big reaction for the 2 queens of Survivor? I think not.
They're sitting there going, well, if it was anybody that was on the show 10, 15 years ago, they ain't going to be back.
Yeah. So with that, I think that's everything. Pretty straightforward episode here. We'll have a lot to talk about next week with Merge. Real quick, for those that didn't hear, Big Brother Canada has ended their season early over COVID-19. Honestly, I think it's probably best to nix that season in the butt anyway. Casting has really outdone themselves with how
And casting needs to be fired for that.
Yes. But speaking of casting,
That means you, Robin.
It's going to be an episode, though.
but speaking of casting, we are planning just a fun little additional show where we bringing 20 people into a brand steel Survivor season simulator. So it's going to be the four of us, some of our favorite guests, along with some of our favorites like the Vagina LOS, Dina Shu, and casting herself. So we're going to see how that season of Survivor plays out, see if Dina Shu can go on an immunity run and bring it all the way, or if Julie Chen would beat her at final fire making challenge or something like that. So the possibilities are as split as Holly's legs, is what I have to say about that. So just like this. So we will be tweeting out like when that show is, but it's just a fun little thing to do while everything is a little crazy right now in the world. We figured we could just use a little bit more of a distraction. So be looking out for that. And do you guys have any more thoughts about Survivor before we wrap up?
I don't, but I do want to thank Emmy for telling me I did a good job in the sequester mini this past weekend. Thank you.
Yes.
You did. You played an awesome game.
Okay.
Thank you. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun.
Would you give a shout out to Valencia, who gave us a shout out on Twitter? She's actually one of the many people that is actually having to work and does not have the luxury of staying home. So let's just think about those people that are actually having to work and are actually putting themselves out there because they need the money. So be kind to one another. Be kind.
And
Yes.
have patience with people. This is high stress times.
Yes. All of the above. Yes. So we will see you guys next week for the merge of Survivor. As always, you can find me on Twitter at TLyonz, TLYONZZ. Also, guys, comment below who you think the merge vote is going to be. I want to see what everybody's thinking going into this episode. Beth, where can we find you on social media?
You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch at AugustaWind11.
Cool. And Deb, where can we find you?
At My Next Life Debbie on Twitter. Right here.
Beautiful, beautiful. And Allison, where can we find you and Finley?
Why don't you tell them?
Because I don't know what they are. I don't follow Finley.
You don't follow Finley?
What? I didn't say that out loud.
Just for that, I hope that Finley votes you out in this brand
Ew.
scale.
Yeah, Finley is going to be in this Survivor season, so that very well could happen. We're on the same tribe starting out, so.
I can't wait.
Wait. You can find Finley on Finley's Insta, FINLEYS_INSTI. You can find us on Instagram, My Weekly Meltdown. You can find me. Anyway, subscribe to the freaking channel. Okay?
You'll find her. Don't worry
Subscribe,
about
like,
it.
give us a
There you
thumbs
go.
up.
Hopefully Allison's feeling a little better next week, too. So take care, you guys. Have a great rest of your night. Bye.
Deuces.